What is going, guys? My name is Feeds, and welcome back to Feeds Mindset episode 43 with the wonderful lady, Miss Y2Kate. Kate, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate your time being here today. Thanks for just kind of hanging out and talking. We both had a long
Absolutely.
day, so I'm sure it's going to be really
Yeah.
nice to just kind of chill out and
Yeah.
hang out. So at the very beginning, I always like to ask kind of everybody, of course, for anybody that's watching, whether it's your community, my community, or just random people in general, just kind of give them an idea who is Y2Kate and what do you do?
I am a variety streamer, primarily on Twitch right now, but I kind of try to dabble into a little bit of everything. Specifically right now because of Respawn Recruits. I've been doing YouTubes. I've done a couple shorts, but they're not really all my favorite thing. TikTok, Reels, I think pretty much everything except for Facebook. Um, but yeah, variety streamer. It varies from Stardew Valley to like different kinds of horror games and Fortnite, Minecraft, like almost everything. So
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
sick. Was there like, do you have any like games that you mainstream for a while, or you've just kind of always been variety, like a bunch of different games?
For a good chunk of time, I was like strictly story based. Or like when I first started streaming, I was Fortnite, and then it was like story based games. So I did GTA 5, God of War. There's another one that I can't think of, but like the main story games. And then my sister bought me Stardew Valley, and she goes, "Time for you to get hooked and addicted to this." So I played that for like 2 or 3 months straight, every single stream.
Yeah.
Um, but then this last August was when I kind of started changing things up more because of 2023 recruits, and everyone's like, "Hey, play this game with me," and then I realized maybe I like more than just Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, obviously, which I've told you this before, like, obviously, the podcast isn't specific to the Respawn recruits, but of course, obviously, it
Right.
is a relevant topic.
Yeah.
So, on that little bit, are you glad that you had participated last year and that changed your mindset to get you into variety streaming? Do you think that
One.
you would have never done it
Yeah.
if that wouldn't have happened?
1000%. I almost didn't sign up for it at all because I was like, people don't know who I am. That's not my wheelhouse. I'm good. But then somebody who is now a current partner was like, no, that's like literally the point. Sign up, do it. I was like, okay.
Hmm. That's
But
sick.
yeah, definitely like I prior to I liked to say that I was a cozy streamer because I didn't mind not having the energy most nights and I just wanted to zone out and play the video games. But now like with working with other people and playing different games, I know that I like the high energy fun, the chaos of it all
Yeah.
without it being expected from me to be like the top notch all the
Yeah.
time. So
Definitely.
having the variety streamer label is really nice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool. It's something that I kind of envy a little bit because I'm not good with like variety gaming and stuff. I'm like I like gaming to me is just like my foods. Like I'm the pickiest person you'll ever meet.
Mhm.
Like I can. It's very difficult for me to find games that I can play for a long bit of time.
Right.
And like when I like a game, I'm just only focused on that game, and that's it. That's like
Hmm.
Rust, for example. Like Rust is kind of like my main game that I play right now, and I've played it
Yeah.
tons of times here and there, and I switch back and forth. But now that's what I'm on, and I have a little over 2,000 hours in the game,
Wow.
and so I play Rust a lot because that's what I enjoy. But if I get to a point where I get burnt out, just like everybody does, like I'm gonna be a big old question mark again, But like as far as like my specific situation, like I do have my podcast and then I have my reaction channel, so now
Yeah.
I've kind of like eased up that burden for myself because I'm not like have to game like that's my only form of content
Hmm.
or whatever. Like obviously there's more to me now, so but I definitely do envy the fact that you can just kind of play variety games and have a great time because a really big thing for me, like I don't like faking stuff. Like I see a lot of people do let's
Right.
plays and stuff like that, and they're kind of like faking their reactions. They already know what's going to happen and stuff. And it's like
Hmm.
kudos to them. Like no disrespect at all. It's just not me. I can't do that. I like the feeling of like raw and what's happening now, not something
Yeah.
that I just gotta recollect my memory of what happened before.
Exactly.
So yeah, but that's cool. I'm glad that you're into variety gaming and stuff. And it seems to be you've went out of your way a lot for this current challenge that we're doing. Getting into more variety
Yeah.
games and stuff.
Yep. I played a little bit of everything this week. I
Yeah.
think Minecraft, Fortnite, Lethal Company. Maybe that's it, but still.
It's definitely not it now. There's more to come.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's sick. So that's awesome. I'm happy for it. I'm glad that you've got those collabs and stuff under your belt. And I think that's kind of the more important aspect that a lot of people don't really see is like, yeah, like the collabs is great and the event that's happening right now, but like everything that everybody's doing right now is building you as a creator.
Yeah.
It's building you and it's making you understand. And just like you said just a second ago, like if it wasn't for last year, you may have still been stuck on your main games or whatever. And
Hmm.
again, that's not a big deal at all. But at the same time, that's always the most common issue as a creator is do you enjoy what you do? And there's
Yeah.
so many people out there that don't enjoy it, but they have to because they feel like that's all they're worth. So being able
Yeah.
to just be in variety, I'm sure is a big relief in that aspect.
Yeah, it allows me to have more fun with it, which keeps me from feeling that like the burnout of turning on the camera every other, well, not every other day, but turning on the camera and trying to be entertaining. So if I'm
Yeah.
actually having fun, then it is entertaining.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, that's cool. I'm glad to kind of get to know all that stuff about you. So let's kind of dive into, in the past. Not like it's hard. It's always hard for me to phrase this question because I don't want to get like an in depth like your childhood per se.
Right,
But
right.
like as a kid growing up, getting into gaming, like how did that work out for you?
Um, I didn't really like I wasn't able to get into gaming all that much as a kid.
Hmm.
Um, like I'd play Minecraft over at my cousin's house whenever we visited. Sometimes like Mario Party, Mario Kart, all of like those games. But otherwise, until I moved out, I didn't really play video games.
Hmm. Okay. Gotcha. So what was like the time frame that you probably started really getting into gaming?
Um, I moved in with my now husband. I was like 19, I think, and he was like, "I'm buying you your own PlayStation and then we can play video games together." I was like, "You
Oh.
know what? That works." So it's been about 4 almost 5 years.
Oh, that's awesome. How was that for you getting to experience that? I feel like let me kind of rephrase this a little bit. Like obviously I want to know how that was getting into gaming, but now you're in an environment where it's kind of like I'm not saying it wasn't accepted back then, but
Mhm.
you're pushed in a respectful way now because your
Yeah.
awesome husband getting you into that and wanting to game with you. That's something a lot of relationships don't have, and that's something me and my
Yeah.
fiance have. We game with each other every now and then and stuff, and it's great. It's an awesome time.
Mhm.
So how did it feel being in kind of a more welcoming environment to push you to want to get into that?
It definitely helped. It gave me something more to do because it was like that stage of my life was the weird I don't know what I'm doing with myself and I needed something to like disappear into the world for just a small period of time. So it was really nice to get into it then, and then growing and coming into the streaming community and all that. There's a lot of chaos within it, but I have a nice little space, and I really like it.
Yeah, that's sick. Well, I'm glad. I'm really happy for you for sure. So you started 4 or 5 years ago and you got into
Yeah.
gaming and stuff. Um, when did the PC come into play for you? When did you get your own PC?
Um, it's been about a year. I can't remember if I got it in March or May, but one of my old buddies was like, "Hey, I just got an entirely new pre-built PC. Do you want this one for super cheap? It'll
Hmm.
work for you. It'll do things." So I was like, "You know what? Sure, why not?" So, I got that and then just recently got upgrades so it'll actually run decently.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. So how was that for you being console gaming and stuff, and then switching over to PC?
It's it doesn't feel a whole lot different, but it does at the same time. I mean, I still play with controller on most games because I don't have the
Hmm.
hand-eye coordination for keyboard and mouse. But having Steam even to get more games, like the accessibility is a lot nicer than on console.
Yeah, for sure. What about the not having to pay a subscription on Steam?
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Like I still have my PlayStation, but I don't even think I've turned it on since I got this
Really?
PC. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's definitely one of the like kind of the overlooked features of Steam. I feel like because they easily could have thrown in just like a little $5, $6, $7
Oh yeah.
program or where like they easily could have thrown in, and nobody would have said anything. Like they just like,
Yeah.
here we go again, So it's like,
Right.
but it's cool and it kind of gives you a little bit more freedom. Because I feel like when you get a PC versus being on console, that's like your mom and dad finally allowing you to watch shows that you're not used to watching and like
Yep.
animes and stuff like that. And I feel like that's kind of like PC because it opens up a whole new world, not only for gaming, but obviously way much stuff like editing and
Oh
Photoshop
yeah.
and all that stuff. I mean, it's huge.
Hmm.
So when you was on console beforehand, when you was posting your clips and your gaming stuff, was it from your console? Did you do it on your phone at all, or?
Yep, it was. I would stream straight off of the PlayStation, and like that limited camera size and movement, all of that overlays didn't have any of that. So I had to have chat up on my phone because I
Yep.
didn't like it being on the screen. Um, so it was a fun time on on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get a whole lot of clips just because I was like the quality is garbage. I was using the VR camera for the
Hmm.
PlayStation and it was not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
I'd get like a handful of clips, but I didn't really get a whole lot. But and that's
Yeah.
when after I got this, that's when I was really able to start networking and like learning how to put myself out there more than just hitting play.
Yeah. So how did that feel now having a PC and being able to have those utilities to I figure out like the best way to word this. Like this isn't like the best analogy, but kind of like be more proud of yourself because now you are able to do things that you were so limited to. I mean, how did that feel for you?
So it makes me feel a lot smarter. um, I, I think the most I really knew about PCs in general prior to getting one was how to turn them on and maybe a couple Word documents. Like I remember what school taught us with Google,
Yeah.
but that was pretty much it. So getting this, it was like, okay, now I have to figure out all the configurations, camera settings, what apps I need to have to be able to do this, and all of that. So like it was definitely borderline like shell shock because there's so much information to learn and like I'm still learning. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about like GPUs or anything like that. So it's it was definitely a big like oh my gosh, okay, wait, hold on. Um but it's getting easier day by day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, what about the like? Let's say just a simple feature of like being in a party on PlayStation versus now being in Discord on PC. How's that going?
The audio quality is so much better. um my husband, I mean he just got his PC back there, but he has been playing on his PS5 and the like you can immediately connect to Discord through the PlayStation, which I think is a cool feature, except the audio cuts out and delays so badly. So
Hmm.
like when we do play games in separate rooms, it's like I can hear his echo first or like him speaking first and then it echoes in my ears like I can't. But yeah, I like the accessibility to be able to get onto a Discord call and it's like they're right here, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of roughly the same situation like mine. Like, so like with me and my fiance, like when we first got together, she was basically the same way. Like she gamed a little bit with her brothers and stuff here and there, but nothing really notable. And then when
Mhm.
we got together, obviously I was really big into gaming. I think when we got together, I wasn't like in this really like in this space. I was just kind of here. Like I had a Twitter account and I throw a clip up here and there, but I was never like on your timeline, pretty much.
Right.
And so I was just kind of just another vibey, chill gamer that nobody knew, you know.
Mhm.
And so I was able to kind of slowly get her into to playing some games and stuff. And she's, really basically, she just like Sims and like little small games that aren't like
Mhm.
in your face or like telling you what to do or whatever. Just kind of you
Right.
get to play how you want to play. So then, when COVID has happened, that's when I got laid off for about 2 months. And
Mhm.
because of whatever the government was doing, I was making a little bit more money than I was making from my actual job every week. And on top of that, no driving and no food and fast food because I'd have to get fast food every day because I'd be far away from home and stuff.
Right.
And so I was saving a lot of money. So for like 3 weeks, I just saved up a bunch of the money that I was getting off of being unemployed, being laid off, and then
Mhm.
I got to put that towards a PC. I spent $800 on a pre-built, and it was a really
Right.
bad PC. It was not a good PC at all, but it was a start. It was a start,
Yeah.
and it was something good for me. And it could barely run Valorant.
Oof.
But it was cool being able to get into it, and it was a lot for me to take in and to
Mhm.
understand in the same aspect using Discord and understanding Sony Vegas and getting into editing and doing Photoshop and networking, definitely getting your clips out there and stuff. It was a lot for me to take
Mhm.
in, but it definitely gave me a new purpose in this gaming environment that we're in. And
Right.
it made me realize like now I have the tools to get my name out there. So, if anything messes up, it's me, because the tools are
Yeah.
right there in front of me. And so fast forward a couple months, the crappy. Sorry, my nose keeps itching. It happens a
No, you're
lot
good.
with my mustache. It happens so much, and it gets so
I
annoying.
keep cat hair across my face too. She's sleeping
But
next to me.
but so after a couple months, long story short, PC started having graphics card issues and saying I need to update my drivers, blah blah blah. So super long story short, the company I bought it from, because I paid cash straight up, they allowed me to send it back and they would work on it for me. The downfall is when I sent it back, UPS like threw my package and it busted my PC. And so the fortunate part of, because of the local company and because I had a good connection with them, they just said, "Hey, we'll charge UPS and we'll just give you another PC." And so they gave me another PC for free, which, like, I'm grateful for, but it wasn't my fault, obviously. Like, everything was fine on my end. And so they gave me another PC, and it was definitely better than what I had before. And so then I had like probably like a year after that happened. That was in like 2020, and then around I think late 2021, I was finally working at a job where I had a good amount of income coming, and so I decided to build my own custom PC. So then I gave my fiance my old PC for a little bit, built my own custom PC, and then she wanted to do things that I was doing that my PC still couldn't handle. So then we sold that one and got her another one. So I've had a couple PCs in my life, but the moral of the story is when we both finally got a PC, it was actually in the same room. We was at like I had another trailer before we bought this house that I live in now, and we had a little small gaming room. It wasn't really nothing special, but we was both in this room. Probably I'd say like maybe like 7 months ago, we was both in this room. And we have an extra bedroom in our house that we wasn't using. And so she decided to move her gaming room in there and keep mine in here, because what you were saying earlier about picking up your mics and all the feedback and stuff, it was awful. It was awful because she loved playing games with me. She loved, being able to know that I had a spot for her, or that, she could come in and play. But the reason why we didn't play a lot is because anytime I would have clips or whatever, like you could constantly hear her in the background, and it was awful. And there was just no easy way to do it because we was both in the same room. So then whenever we had switched and got into separate rooms, I mean, it just changed everything. Now I can't hear it all, and like we have to actually have a Discord conversation to be able to talk. But it's awesome, and it definitely changed my whole world, being able to not only be the creator that I want to be and stuff behind my camera, but also kind of teach her, because she streams every now and then. She's not nowhere near as big in the space or whatever, but she has a couple mutuals of people that I've met and stuff, and she plays COD and Valorant and stuff just kind of on her own free time and posted clips here and there. She's learning and she's getting it, but it definitely has changed my whole world, because I feel like that is at a relationship aspect. I feel like that's very frowned upon. It's not common that both partners game and do the same thing, especially being being such an advocate about it. Like a lot of them, like usually if you're on the game for a good long amount of time or whatever, they start saying certain things. But like with me and my fiance, like we never complain. Like there's days that I just come home, we'll talk for like 20-30 minutes about our day and stuff like that, and then I'll just be here for like most of the night. And she does the same thing. She has a long day, she don't want to do nothing, she just wants to sit down and do her own thing. And I'm just very grateful for that, because, and this is not a dig to anybody else, but I just know that you constantly hear relationship problems with gaming, and me and my fiance have never experienced that, so I'm definitely grateful for that.
Yeah, same. We've even spent like entire weekends, the entirety of the day, just playing video games in separate rooms on the mics and everything, and then coming, go to bed, wake up. Hey, do you want to keep playing this? Yeah, okay. So I get that. It's one of our favorite like pastimes and things to do once the night calms down.
Yeah, most definitely. It's just something that's, I don't know, man. It's just something that you can't really put like an experience on, but when you start, like I said before, like when you start taking notice of other people having issues, and like you'll hear like the the very old basic clips is like, oh, your woman let you play your game, mine don't ever let me play mine. And it's like, I hate that that's like kind of like a stigma in a way. Every relationship is completely different, so I'm not, it's not like a dig to anybody, but I'm just grateful that me and mine, like we don't have those issues, and that's a part of her safe space and a part of her coping and being safe and being comfortable is gaming and me not bothering her. And it's nice that we both kind of get to have that. So yeah. So we've talked a lot about PCs and getting into that. So take me through the streaming aspect of it. How did you get into streaming, and when did that kind of all start to transpire for you?
So it's been like a year and a half now. I thought about streaming when like COVID was like the big thing, because I think that was roughly when Twitch was like, yeah, no gambling or something.
Mm.
There was something big with Twitch, and where I was at, all of my friends were big into watching streamers and all of that. I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I'm gonna pretend that I do. So yeah, it was like a year and a half ago. I've been a stay-at-home mom for going on 3 years now, so it got to the point where it was like I needed something more to do than just being a mom all day. So when my son was napping, I'd be playing video games. And one night, my husband was like, why don't you stream? Like, we have a camera, you can stream it right off your PlayStation. I was like, I don't know how being on the internet like that is different than just having like being like scrolling through TikTok or whatever.
Hmm.
Having my own presence is a little different. Um, but we boiled it down to we can at least try it once or twice, see how I feel about it, and if I like it, keep going. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. And so I did a handful of streams. I was like, you know what, I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. So then I kept it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. So I'm assuming you didn't start out as a face cam streamer. I'm assuming it was probably just your gameplay and
No,
stuff.
no, just gameplay, because I didn't think that I could have my camera on or like use the VR camera for it. So
Hmm.
it's just video games, and then somebody came into my stream and was like, do you have like the VR camera for your PlayStation? I go, yeah. They're like, well, did you know, like, if you're not comfortable with it, that's fine, but did you know that you could hook that up and like have your face on stream? I was like, I did not know that. This is good information to have. So eventually I like figured all that out, which it really wasn't that complicated. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So you didn't really have a problem face cam streaming and doing that stuff.
Mm. I figured if people were gonna say anything, I could just block them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good mindset to have. I feel like that's kind of the typical mindset that people have, but usually a lot of people don't really learn that until a bit later once they've kind of
yeah,
delayed themselves. And again, to each their own. Everybody does their own content in different ways, and some people just don't want to, be a face cam streamer. They want to be
yeah.
known for their gameplay, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
But that's
absolutely.
that's definitely the biggest misconception for people that want to be a face cam streamer. And they have social anxiety and they're nervous and all these other
Mhm.
things. And it's like that stinks, because all that takes a toll. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like at the end of the day, like the end result is, worst you can do is do it one time. You can just turn it on, see how you like it. You can
Mhm.
block people and stuff like that. So it's kind of this. It stinks because it's like it's all the same end result, and everybody pretty much is going to tell you the same thing. So it's really just up to you if that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
And that definitely is another way of stepping outside of your comfort zone. But it's like you have to battle of like, yeah, you're not comfortable with it, but are you like okay with it? I feel like that's kind of another misconception. Like a lot of people confuse like being comfortable with being okay, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't think anybody that had any issues with like webcam streaming and stuff, I don't think anybody was obviously comfortable with it right out. Like you either just are, you aren't. And like with me personally,
Mhm.
like I never had an issue. Like I've been facecam streaming for as long as I can remember, and it's never crossed my mind. But at the same
Mhm.
exact time, like that's nothing to nobody. Like a good buddy of mine, his name's Envious, and for like well over a year he didn't stream face cams. It was just his gameplay or whatever, and I would have a couple talks with him every now and then. I'd sit down for like 20-25 minutes kind of telling him the normal spill, like, oh, like, you just have to do it, man. You just have to get out of your comfort zone. Maybe you'll like it or whatever. And then finally one day he decided to do it, and like literally 2 days later he asked me to be on my podcast. And I was like,
Oh.
dude, you was just complaining that this was so hard. He's like, I know, but it's easy now. When can I be on? I was like, okay, we'll do it. We'll do Tuesday. So, but
Nice.
it's like, it was really cool. And that made me very happy for him.
Mhm.
Cause I'm not saying that like I'm any prouder of him than I was before, but it was just really nice to see him exceed that far when I've seen him be pushed back so long. And
Right.
that's just something I hope that other creators can kind of do, because every day is a missed opportunity, whether you know it or
Mhm.
not, whether it's your fault. Most of the time it's never your fault. Nobody just knows. There's a certain hashtag you can use, a certain upload time you could do, a certain person you could have reached out to that was drinking coffee for that 5 minutes. I mean, there's opportunities every single day that we all miss.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that that's one of the biggest things with streaming is like so many people don't want to stream because they don't have the equipment, or they don't want to do face cam, or they don't want to do this or do that. And it's like, the thing that stinks is like, I get that it's hard, but that's also time that you're letting go by. And, tomorrow's never promised, tomorrow's never
Mhm.
guaranteed. And so it's always a hard discussion, because you'll either get the people just saying like, yeah, I did it and it was a great time, or you get the other people saying like, hey, like, let me live my life like it's my thing. And it's like, it's a hard conversation, because I never want to
Yeah.
like be like, you should just do it and forget about your feelings. Like, of course your feelings definitely matter, for sure, but at the same time, like, if you're not comfortable doing it, for sure, but if you're upset that you're not growing and stuff like that, that's also another way of just networking. Like, a lot of people just want to be able to see you, and it
Mhm.
like it's such a hard conversation, because there's so many people that when they tune into your streams, like, they're obviously there for you, and just simply having a face cam can just make them automatically feel better.
Yeah.
So, um, so did you started streaming on Twitch, I'm guessing?
Yep.
Gotcha. So, are you still on Twitch, or have you moved over at all?
I was on Kick over the summer, but I didn't really like it a whole lot.
Mhm.
It felt like not anything bad on Kick or anything like that. I've seen really good come out of it, but it just, for me, it felt more like people were trying to do the whole, "Oh, I'll follow you if you follow
Yeah,
me." And it's
100%.
just, I wasn't really about that. I didn't get much interaction other than like those borderline copy paste messages. So it's like, I'm gonna go back over to Twitch. I'm
Yeah.
okay there. I've got people that actually talk to me there, so
Yeah. No, I can definitely understand that. I mean, I kind of pretty much mainly stream on Kick now, but I don't really
Mhm.
stream anymore though. Like, it's not really saying anything, because I don't, I've kind of stopped streaming. Not fully for that aspect, but it definitely is an
Mhm.
aspect, because there's a lot of people that have their own self intentions, and it just doesn't feel like the support is as real as it used to be, which stinks.
Yeah.
But I've definitely lost my passion for streaming. Like, I'll stream like a couple times. Like, I have a charity stream that's coming up in a couple weeks. Like, I really want to do that and stuff. And like, for current moments, or if I just have a day that I'm doing nothing, I just want to play Rust, or like, sure. But
Mhm.
as far as like a set schedule of like every day or every other day, like, I don't have it anymore. Like, I'm focused on my YouTube and my long form content. And it's kind of weird to say it, because I never thought that I would be in this position. I never would have thought that
Right.
I would like editing more than I would like just being live, and
Mhm.
that's definitely a battle that a lot of us face.
Yeah, the first stretch of starting streaming, I was streaming every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes Saturdays, sometimes it'd be twice a day. Just depended on when my kid had fallen asleep. So I very quickly drove myself into like a little bit of a burnout. Um, and I think I stepped back for a good 2-3 weeks, and then I was like, okay, let me try like 3 times a week, and then I'll see how I feel from there. But then I found myself really quickly. It was like, I don't want to. I don't want to stream right now. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
I don't care for it. And then I think it was like the beginning of August or end of July, beginning of August. I was like, okay, I want to get back into this. I need to do this right though, because I don't want to hurt my brain any more than I already
Yeah.
have. So now I'm pretty happy and content with a 2 day a week stream, and then miscellaneous content everywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'm assuming, obviously I have no idea what the life of, being a single mom at the time, was like for you. I'm sure that was definitely tough. So I can only imagine how hard and conflicting your schedule had to be, to not only do things you want to do, but also take care of them at the same time. I'm sure that was tough for you.
Yeah, because I mean, the beginning of stream, he's only almost 3, so it was a lot of, while the husband was at work, I would be home just trying to make sure he wasn't, hurting himself, getting into things
Hmm.
he shouldn't be. Obviously, like the parenting things,
Right.
but like for a good chunk of time, it was to the point where I couldn't step just out of his line of sight without something going wrong. So it's like, okay, at the hip, we're good. I'm just gonna stay here. So when he fell asleep for his nap or like for the night, it was nice to be able to come to my setup and be like, okay,
Yeah.
video games, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm glad you had that to resonate with, because I think that's kind of something that you see in a lot of moms. Like, they, when they get that small bit of time, like, obviously everybody functions differently, and again, like, I can't begin to understand that life,
Mhm.
but gaming has definitely been a very big aspect in a lot of moms' lives too. I mean, I think that, I was talking to you, of course, a little bit before, we had started the podcast, about the women gaming industry and how they need to
Yep.
be recognized more and normalize more things. And I definitely think that's something that's slept on a lot. I think gaming has not only done a lot for men, it's done huge for women, and
Yep.
been able to
It's
help them cope and stuff.
Yeah, it's a really nice hobby and like thing to look forward to without the like for me at least it's I don't want to say the fear of leaving him alone or anything like that.
Hmm.
Not alone, but like with
Right.
just not in the same premise.
Yeah.
Um but the comfort of knowing if he wakes up, I can immediately just shut everything down and go. Like
Yeah.
it's right there. I can still keep him safe while also doing something I know I enjoy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you had that for you, and I'm glad that that's kind of creates a safe space for you and him both. So another thing that I like to bring up on the podcast, which excuse me, jeez, I don't know if your name has a background at all, but I do always kind of like to ask. So obviously your official name is Y2Kate. Is there a backstory behind how you got that name?
So Kate is my nickname. My full like first name is Kately.
Hmm.
But it's easier to just go by Kate half the time, and then the Y2 part is because I was born in the year 2000. So I thought like the coincidence of it was funny.
Yeah, that's sick. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a very unique way. I mean, yeah, I would have never guessed that, honestly. Like that's such a simple guess. I definitely would have overlooked it. Yeah, I think that it's definitely important that somebody has some type of name that means something to you, and obviously, I mean, yours is kind of the most personal it can get to you, really.
Yeah.
So, but that's sick. I'm glad that you have a little bit of a backstory for it.
Mhm.
So now we've kind of gotten to know a good little bit of who you are and your come up and your streaming background and stuff. So obviously you've been doing this for quite a couple of years. You've been in a lot of different circumstances. You've been streaming for well over a couple of years and creating content and stuff and going through obstacles. Even right now, we're a part of
Mhm.
the Respawn Invitationals, which is a lot going on there and a lot of balancing
Yeah.
and managing and stuff. So being a creator, you never know the impact that you're going to make. You're never going to
Mhm.
know what kind of role model you are, what kind of content you provide. If you make somebody happy, that happens every single day to hundreds of thousands of people. There's so much content
Mhm.
that people produce that they don't feel like people care about, but they just don't advocate. They're like, hey, that was a good video. Like, there's tons of people that are actually affected by what you do, but they just don't say it.
Mhm.
So for newer creators that are trying to get into the scene, they're trying to maybe start streaming or content creation or something. Is there any advice you would give to new streamers wanting to kind of get into the space?
The biggest thing that like I'll say this time and time again, don't look at the numbers, especially when you're just starting out, because you can like idolize bigger streamers and see their numbers and think, yeah, I can do that. But it's a lot harder to get to that point when there are like they have that kind of like background and support that
Hmm.
they've got. So avoiding the numbers when you first start out, I think is one of the most important things because that can it feels really disheartening when you look and see that you have one average viewer and you find out it's your family in the next room or whatever.
Yeah.
So numbers just don't exist. They're not real. Like I know for to figure out like when the best timing to post, like looking at the algorithm of things, that is important because that helps you learn. Okay, I get better views at 3 p.m. than I do at 1 p.m. or like that when I
Hmm.
post at those times. So then you can start posting more at 3. But otherwise, like your viewer count if you're streaming, it's just don't worry about
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and networking in the right way is important.
Mhm.
And it's hard to learn the right way to network. And it's definitely not going into other streamers' streams or their comments are like, hey, check out my things
Yeah.
just immediately off the bat. Just talk to people within the community that you want to be a part of. And eventually, you know, things will start turning and they'll gravitate towards your environment to see like what you're up to and if they like it they can hang around and then you guys can have conversation about that in each other's little worlds or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean that's definitely the easiest, the most common one is numbers, and I hate that numbers. It's such a toxic thing. Everybody focusing
Hmm.
on numbers and their videos doing well and stuff. And it's just like I was telling you, like for this podcast before we started, like I know that it don't hit algorithms because my objective is a lot different than what the audience is used to hearing, and so I'm okay with that. I like doing the
Hmm.
podcast because I just want to get to know you and push you out there for any of your friends or anybody that wants to get to know Kate or anything like that's why I like doing it. And it's also another way for me to network. It helps me
Hmm.
understand you and stuff. And I know that we have this recruits invitationals and stuff and we talk here and there, but it's doing this podcast is like the most unique way that I can have a conversation with somebody because I'm doing it
Yeah.
not only for content and a collaboration, but I'm actually physically getting to understand who you are. And it's just kind of like your memories are the last thing you have in this world. So now when me and you leave, like we're always going to remember, this talk that we had and stuff. And that's
Yeah.
kind of stuff that's just very important to me because I like making a positive change and stuff. And you definitely can't do that when you're focused on numbers and when you're
Yeah.
focused on all these different things. So you talked a little bit about the numbers affecting you and worrying about views and stuff and the kind of equipment you have. And so obviously you started on your PlayStation and you didn't
Mhm.
have a camera or anything before. And there's some people out there that don't want to stream or create content because they don't feel like they have the correct setup. They don't feel like they look as good as other people, or they don't feel like they have the necessities or the cool things on their screen and nobody's really going to watch them or whatever.
Mhm.
Is there any advice you would give to people that kind of feel that way, to say, hey, I don't really have the type of setup, so nobody wants to watch me?
I mean, if you want to make content, if that's something you want to do, that's all that matters. If you want to do it, then do it. Um, starting with the PlayStation, the quality, like looking back, was definitely awful. But being that I was having fun and enjoying it, people still came. They still wanted to see what I was up to the next stream or, whatever. Um, and even if you just have a phone, you can do like the IRL type of content. You can do like a day in my life. Some people I've seen, they screen record when they play mobile games. So like you could even do something like that. It's definitely possible. So equipment, it just aids the visual aspect of it, but it's not the most important thing. As long as you have something that runs,
Yeah.
you can make content.
Yep. Excuse me. And I'm really glad you popped that up because it was actually got me thinking. You talked about screen recording for your gameplay and stuff. That's I don't. I wouldn't say it's one of the first things I did, but I remember when I was really young, Clash of Clans, of course, most people usually played Clash of Clans, and I would do that. And at the time when I was doing that, I think I had like an iPhone like 5 or 6, and whichever one it was, it didn't actually have the tool that we have now where you can actually screen record. You actually had to
Yeah.
download this app from China that you couldn't understand, and you had to download that software to be able to screen record and then send it to your camera roll. And that's how
Right.
I did some of my stuff. I would look up like trap bases on Clash of Clans, and I just watch all the dumb people just putting their people in the middle and everything, killing them. And
Yep.
it was sick, and it was cool to be able to create that content. And that is definitely a really big aspect that a lot of people miss, where it's like there's a lot of people that are into mobile gaming way more than actual gaming. Like
Hmm.
look at I don't think Apex. I feel like I've seen mobile Apex. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've definitely seen mobile COD. And
Yeah.
Call of Duty is definitely a big one, and obviously Fortnite when it came out, even though it was very buggy.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think that's definitely another important thing that people kind of, I guess, sleep on,
Hmm.
because you can create content with anything, and I feel like
Yep.
a lot of people they don't see it in that light.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Like I used to watch people. They would set their phone up like just slightly behind them, and then record them playing a video game. So you just see like their hands in the controller, the TV, and post that to YouTube. And it was always the most grainy thing because it was forever ago. But like even that still got a really good chunk of views, and they were having fun with it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely possible.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And I think it's just kind of going back on that same conversation again. It's just kind of like a missed opportunity, if it's that's like with the way that I am now, which this could be like a toxic trait, I guess, to some people, but like when I come home and I turn my PC on, like it's hard for me to play games off stream for fun a lot because I
Mhm.
I I like the aspect of creating content. Like I feel like a lot of people to hear that would be like, oh, like you just don't know how to just have fun and nobody's watching. And it's like that's my fun, is like I
Yeah.
know that people's watching and I know I'm producing that, and I don't like the opportunity where I do something really cool and then let's just say I'm not recording because I'm chilling out. Now I don't have it at all. It's gone forever. Um, and that's a big kind of aspect for me is when I start playing anything, like I'm usually always recording. Most of the time they get
Mhm.
deleted because I don't do well or something, and I delete
Yeah.
it and go on about my day. But I guess, like I said, in a sense, like to some people it could probably seem like a toxic trait. Like I like to always be in a content aspect when I'm playing any games or whatever. And
Mhm.
like I said, there's a lot of people that are in that aspect, but they just don't either know like the right facilities to use, or whatever else the case it may be. And like same thing for me, like when I started streaming, it was during when COVID had happened and everything. And it was right before I got my PC. I was playing on my PlayStation 4. and I had my PlayStation 4 camera on the top. Black Ops 4 was the game that really brought, the name feeds for my sniping clips and stuff. That's really what brought me up around that time. And that's what I would do. I would snipe on Black Ops 4. I would stream on my PlayStation 4, and I would have a little live in my clan tag, and everybody come check me out. And I would that was my purpose, to really shit on you during that game, and then you'd come by and say GG's, and I'm like, hey man, how are you? And then I pretend to be all, well, not pretend, but now I'm all positive because I'm happy that you're here, and it's it was just such a different reality for me now, and I'm grateful that I did all that, and it was cool, and it was awesome to be a part of that. But now, the person that I am now, I am completely different now. I don't like that aspect of you only coming to me because I just hit a cool clip on you and stuff. Now, my brain's flipped, and everybody's different, but I feel like I've kind of just, I don't want to say matured because that's kind of the wrong word to use, but I feel like as a person, I've just kind of leveled up because that was a phase of my life that I enjoyed, but now it's gone because now I want to be more me, and I want to be more personal and not just my clips and what I can do. So on the other topic we was talking about, on the topic of advice for new creators and stuff, you had mentioned a lot about networking. A lot of people, of course, perceive networking in a lot of different ways. So it's always difficult for me to kind of phrase this question in the right way. But for newer creators or creators that maybe are just struggling, they're trying to make friends and find other people to play with and find other people to support. Is there any advice you would give to newer creators to try to help them figure out how they can find friends and find other people that are in their same, genre or category?
Well, with Twitch, that it gives you the categories for games that you want to check out, and you could even look up a specific game or whatever. But checking out other creators, I think I found more luck, I guess, going into smaller streamers and seeing what they were up to, because then as long as they, are trying to keep up and do the things, they'll be able to look at chat and they're actually able to read it, versus the huge creators where it's just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. You'll get, and this sounds kind of conceited, but you'll get noticed better and more if you go into the smaller streamers than you would going into a big streamer.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's where numbers kind of comes into play, because you don't, with the chat scrolling and scrolling, going to a bigger creator to, oh well, all these people are there, they'll see my name, maybe they'll check me out, isn't going to be the same, because they also can't see the chat.
Yeah.
Versus a small streamer, if you go into their chat, you like what they're doing, make a connection there, down the road they could, hey, if you guys haven't checked out so and so, go check them out, and then they could share their community with you, and then it kind of just continues to fan out from there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd honestly have about the same exact advice, because that's pretty much what I did when I first started. So two of my favorite games, Final Fantasy 12 was my first ever favorite game of all time, and then the second one would be Fallout New Vegas. And I did this a ton for 4 or 5 months. I would go to that specific game. I would click on the low viewers, and I would go and check out people that I would never see if I would never do that. And there's so many people that I tab up and check up on now and talk to because of that aspect. And it don't happen overnight. It's something where you have to come back for a couple weeks and talk to them and check in here and there and stuff. But if you get out of this mindset of they don't support me, why should I support them? If you can get out of that mindset and just support people because you have a common interest, again, like I said, it don't happen overnight, but within a couple weeks you'll start slowly feeling better, and you'll start seeing the energy of that person be like, oh, hey Feeds, how are you? Welcome in, appreciate you, and it's just it's an automatic thing where you're noticing the change in direction of the way that they approach you, and that's what makes friends. It's not just saying hey, do you want to play or something like that. It's that genuine feeling that the person you're supporting knows that you're there for them, and that's what creates friends, because automatically they kind of put down their little shield that they're blocking from keeping themselves safe, and they're allowing you and welcoming you into their community. And it's a beautiful thing, because it's also a very respectful thing. Allowing just a random person that shares a common interest, you come back within a couple weeks, and now you're talking to their community and you're getting to know them, and hey, how's the dog? You take them to the vet and stuff, and it's all those little things. It's just like I was saying before, all you have at the end of the day is your memories. And I mean, that's one of the most prime ways, especially with networking and stuff, that you can get out there, is just by connecting with other people's communities and just taking time out of your day for somebody else. It will definitely come back around whenever you need it the most.
Oh yeah, that's that's one of, for me at least, one of the more important things with all of this is as long as I can make friends, no matter where I'm at, if I can make a friend, I'm good.
Yeah, definitely. So the last little question that I give is, of course, another question that's a little bit hard for me to phrase for my the women gaming community out there. They're definitely deserving of many things that they accomplish and stuff. And I hate the way that this space is, and this question's always hard for me to word because I don't deal with any of those struggles and stuff. I'm just a part of the stigma that is what's normalized and stuff that always stinks. But for newer creators that are also women that want to get in the space and they want to gaming, but they see all the stupid, nasty, weird stuff that goes on online, is there any advice that you could give to them to help them kind of get into that?
So I think I've only had fortunately I've only had a handful of interactions that were just off-putting. Um, but I think the most important thing is to take what they say with a grain of salt because they're there trying to get your reaction and get something to make you seem like the bad guy versus them. So take what they say with a grain of salt, block them, report them if they say something report worthy, and just keep moving forward because at the end of the day, what their opinion just doesn't matter. It's a lot of, well, I'll call them trolls. They come in and do those kinds of things with the intention of their attempt at a 5 minutes of fame kind of deal. Like for bigger creators, if they this dude came into my chat and they said this and this, go do whatever, but it's not on me, then it gets all of their attention to their account. And that's what they want. They want some type of reaction because they get that satisfaction of knowing that they made somebody angry. So it's just it's just better to block, move forward, and try to brush it off. I know it's hard to, but eventually it gets easier to just whatever. And if you have a really good sense of humor, you could even make jokes. I don't at their expense sounds mean, but at their expense of what they said to you. If you can make jokes out of that, one, that makes good content. Two, it makes a situation that could be kind of shitty and makes it laughable, so it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and I appreciate all that, and I hope that applies. And that's just like I said before. That's always a hard question for me to ask because it's like it stinks, but it's not my place. But at the same time, I want to raise awareness for it because you see it every day. You see it always go down, and it stinks. So it's hard for me to really have an opinion about it because I never want to be perceived in a different light. But the beauty of that situation that I'm very thankful for, even today, you just being able to be here on my podcast, is that's something I really pride myself in with all the guests that are on my podcast. Is they're somewhat mutual friends of mine. Some of the people that have been on my podcast know each other, but either way, they're all people that I genuinely want to support and see succeed. So that's something that I'm glad for, because if there are other ladies or men, of course, out there, if they struggle finding people that are actually good because they've had a bunch of bad experiences with friends and snakes in the grass and all that kind of stuff, that's something I'm glad, because they can go to my page on Feeds Mindset on Twitter and they could just click at who I'm following, and I only follow people that I've done my podcast with, and you can go and look at them. And if you're a woman creator that wants to make other women friends, I mean, Kate is a wonderful example. You can go and hang out with her and stuff, and I'm glad that I have that to offer, because again, like I said, it's not really my place for that topic, but at the same time, I do want to raise awareness, because at the end of the day, nobody deserves to feel alone. Nobody deserves to have a bad day and not have nobody to talk to. So, if something simple like that allows you to help network and connect with other creators, and it's happened a lot already. A lot of people, I feel like they'll hear me say that and they're like, yeah, Feeds, whatever. It has happened. I've had a bunch of creators that I've had on my podcast reach out and say, hey, so-and-so, check me out. Now we're playing some games together. I'm like, oh, sick. That's cool. And it's awesome. It's just the little things in life, and it's the very obvious topic of, you never know who you're going to run into. Could be the next opportunity, could be your next job, could be your next best friend. And that's just something that I really enjoy being able to kind of provide that, because it's like going for sponsorships. A lot of people like, oh, who should I sponsor? Who should I reach out to? And a lot of people, do that for the wrong reasons. But then
Mhm.
you have a friend that's like, hey, these are all the people that I've worked with, and these guys are really cool companies. And I feel like it's kind of like that's my list that I can provide to
Mhm.
people. It's like my list of guests that have been on my podcast. That's my list of wonderful creators that you can branch out to that won't hurt you and that will support you and be friends with you. So I'm definitely glad that I have that, and now Kate's on the list.
Glad to be here.
Definitely. Well, that's pretty much all the questions, everything that I have. Of course, I do appreciate your time. Just two more things before we end off here.
Mhm.
The first thing, of course, is there anything that you have coming up that you're excited to share with anybody? Any plans or anything?
So, obviously with Respawn Recruits, I'm hoping to like make it all the way through with that, but obviously that's
Hmm.
not planned. But I do, after this, I do plan on setting up some charity streams. More n- kind of in real life things like,
Hmm.
the last recruits I was doing Lego building on stream, like
Yeah.
streams like that. I've got Legos, the mystery solving board games, like games like that aren't just video games. I want to bring them more into stream. So I'm pretty excited to dive into those again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sick. That's definitely an area of content that could be, like, approached upon because nobody really does that kind of stuff. So that'd definitely be sick. I would definitely love to see that. Well, again, I appreciate your time and everything. Last question before we end off. Everybody that's watching here, do you have any last words that you'd want to share with anybody before we leave?
um, the words were just here, I promise.
You're fine.
um, I think the big like takeaway for me at least is to like just keep pushing through every day that you've got. Make the most of it. Do fun things, do things that make you happy, and yeah, just
Yeah.
just have a good time with life because
Yeah.
there's only so much of it you got.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I fully agree with that. Well, everybody watching, I appreciate you guys as always. If you want to go check Kate out, her Twitter is right below her head. Her links in the description down below. Please go check her out and follow her on all her social media. And of course, Kate, thank you so much for being able to be on my podcast. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Alrighty, well, guys, that has been episode 43 of Feeds Mindset. Thank you guys so much for coming by. I appreciate you all. And my name is Feeds, and I'm out.